That's why this message is for everybody. Every woman, actually every man, every woman is the bride of Christ. We're not a bridesmaid. We are the bride now. And it's actually really, really important that we understand this, because if we still see ourselves as the bridesmaid, that can result in some very, what do I want to say, unscriptural behavior, or also just some very depressing behavior. You see, if I'm just the bridesmaid, I might be promiscuous, right? I'm not married. That's our culture now. But when I know I'm a bride, I'm betrothed to Jesus, nothing compels me more to be faithful, to be committed, to enjoy the union that we have.
My shepherd, and I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul, and he leadeth me into the path of right.
All praise to the Most High. In the name of His only begotten Son. And what we're doing right now is we're just looking at Jacob's sons. Getting ready to start part 2. And last time I went over Reuben and Simeon. Actually, I have more on those. There's way more information on those. I may do a little more. But this time I'm going after Levi and Judah. Yeah, these is where things get really cranked up. But initially, these prophecies happened to the children of Israel, or the African American, aka the children of Israel. And we're gonna look at. We're gonna start at Genesis. Put a picture there. Excuse me. 29, and we'll start at 34. Excuse me. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, Now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons, and therefore was his name called Levi. So we need to pay attention to who? My husband, right? And actually, the she. The husband and joined unto me. Very important words here. And Levi, we all know, they were the priests of all 12 tribes. And, that's in a nutshell, the power and the covenants and everything came with this son here. So I could read on to Judah, but I'm gonna start here. Okay, so we'll look at husband, and another word for husband is bridegroom, and joined unto me. We're going to look at that joined. That joined is married. Therefore, she called his name Levi. Okay? So my husband, I'm going to look at a couple of precepts for that. Yeah. For those of you that don't know, I'm going to go to where you're supposed to break it down. Okay? Excuse me. This is Isaiah chapter 28. And I'll start at 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And to whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line. Here a little and there a little. Okay? So, with using that method, we're going to break down the husband. Let's go to Psalms 19, verse 5. Psalms 19, verse 5. And it reads, which is as the bridegroom cometh out of his chamber, and rejoices as a strong man to run a race. Now this is King David. He's talking about the Most High. Okay? This is why he's the bridegroom. Or, Shalakia. Yeah, the bridegroom. So we move from Psalms to Isaiah chapter 49 and 18. 49 and 18. And it reads, lift up thine eyes round about, and behold, all these gathered themselves together, and come to thee. As I live, says the Most High, thou shalt surely clothe thee with them all, as with an ornament, and bind them on thee, as a bride doeth. Okay, we're talking about the bride now. Okay. Now we're going to 61:10. And it reads, I will greatly rejoice in the Lord, my soul shall be joyful in my Elohim. For he has clothed me with the garments of salvation. He has covered me with the robe of righteousness, as a bridegroom decketh himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorneth herself with her jewels. Okay? Oh yeah, there's more. 62:5. Right next to it. For as a young man marrieth a virgin, so shall thy sons marry thee. And as the bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so shall thy Elohim rejoice over thee. Talking about the elect of Israel. Okay, the one that comes back to him. Okay, let's go to Jeremiah. Jeremiah 2 and 32. Right here. Can a maid forget her ornaments, or a bride her attire? Yet my people have forgotten me days without number. You see that? He's likened to Israel into a bride. Okay? So on the surface, it looks like Leah, of our great grandmother, is talking about her marriage with our great grandfather Jacob. But initially, these phrases are prophecies, and they're talking about the whole 12 tribes, the whole nation. Okay, these things are going to befall them and happen to them, and be a part of what happens. Yeah, what happens to them. So we'll go to 33:11. Same book, Jeremiah 33:11. 33:11. The voice of joy and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, the voice of them that shall say, Praise the Most High of hosts, for the Most High is good, for his mercy endureth forever, and of them that shall bring the sacrifice of praise into the house of the Most High, for I will cause to return the captivity of the land. What land? Israel. It ain't talking about the planet. As at the first.
Over 4,000 years ago, God appeared to Abraham in Mesopotamia and said to him, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee, and I will make of thee a great nation. Abraham obeyed the Lord, and came into the promised land of Canaan, for he lived along with his son Isaac, and his grandson Jacob, who was later renamed Israel. Israel and his 12 sons went down into Egypt because of a famine in the land of Canaan. And there they multiplied into a mighty nation. The Egyptians felt threatened by the powerful nation of Israel living among them. So they enslaved them and made their lives bitter with hard bondage. After 430 years in Egypt, they were led out of bondage by Moses, then crossed the Red Sea and went into Arabia, where they received the law of God at Mount Sinai. The generation of Israelites that left Egypt with Moses were not allowed to enter the promised land because of their lack of faith.
Jeremiah 3:14. Turn, O backsliding children, says the Most High, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. See, it's talking about our return. It's talking about when he telling Israel, or telling the African American, aka the Israelite, turn, O backsliding children, says the Most High, for I am married unto you. Okay? Married. That's really got more. Let's go to Joel 2:16. Hosea. Oh yeah, Hosea too. Hosea got it too. And this is the divorce. And why we have to be grafted in. But for time's sake, I didn't write that one. So I'm going to cover that one. If I don't do it in this one, I'll cover it in another video. Right now I need Joel 2. And what I say? 16? 16. That's 2. 16. So right there. Gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children, and those that suck the breast. Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and the bride out of her closet. See, let us show up together, baby. Yeah, let us all break forth. Okay? Let's go to Matthew 9:15. Let's go some New Testament. (9:15). And Jesus said unto them, Can the children of the bride chamber mourn, as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken from them, and then they shall fast. Or shall they fast. Okay? And this is all the bride. This is the same bride that they're referring to, that Leah is speaking on behalf of and speaking prophecy in Genesis chapter 29 and 34, I believe. 33, 34. We'll go back to it, but let's get that 25 and 1. Same book, Matthew. And 1. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins who took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. See that? And 5 were wise, and 5 were foolish. See, now that's a parable. We can get into that later, but I need to stay on point because actually there's so many jewels in here that it is easy to go off. So we'll stick to that. Stick to the point. What I'm trying to do is trying to help you understand who is the bride and who is the groom, and who's the whole marriage thing, and why Mashiach is called the bridegroom. You know. Now we're going to witness right now the marriage, tying the knot. Okay. Verse 4. And Moses wrote all these words of the Most High, and rose up early in the morning and built an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel. See, the world is not mentioned. This is what was put up, the marriage. Verse 5. And he set young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Most High. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in the basin, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read it in the audience of the people. And they said, all that the Lord had said we will do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which the Most High has made with you concerning all these words. You see that? That's the marriage. Okay? So, we have her husband. Oh, kind of blurry. Bring that out. Excuse me. So, we have the bride and the husband. Right there. That's the actual set. That's during the ceremony. Alright? So, let's get the divorce. Let's go back to that Hosea. I said 2, but it's probably 1. I'll start at 6. Okay. Now when she had weaned the Luho-Ramah, she conceived and bare a son. Then said Elohim, call his name Lo-Ammi, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your Elohim. See that?
But not only that, I'll go on even further to say this, that the slave trade is actually connected to Deuteronomy 28, because the majority of the slaves that were brought to the Caribbean islands and brought to the Americas were Ibu people, were people of Hebrew and Hebraic Israelite descent, if you will. And so if you read Deuteronomy chapter 28, it matches perfectly what happened to the Hebrew slaves, the black Hebrew slaves, during the slave trade. It just matches it perfectly.
Back up now. I think we just rung a bell here. Hold up now.
Okay.
Hold up. Hold the presses.
Okay.
Oh, hold up. I hope everyone is listening to this. This is you about to rock some boats now.
Let's go to Romans 7:3. Seven and 3. So then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. See that? But if her husband be dead, which Mashiach died, he came, he died for us, she is free from that law. So that she is no adulteress, though she is married to another man. Okay? Now, the point is he had to die to get us out of it. Not him. He didn't have to get out of it. He died to get us out of it, but not out of doing it, out of the payment. Or he wanted to take up the full bill, the full penalty for breaking those commandments. So we have another shot at grace now. Not to not do the commandments, but to grace in doing them and trying to the best of your ability. So that law is, grace is abounding that law. But it doesn't mean to go and break it. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but in you proving that you want to do his will makes you someone who returns to him with all their heart, mind, and soul, that he would give you a pass. Not that you go and live out an all-out life of it. Give you a way to turn back. Repent means to turn, about face, to turn to him. Because clearly we was going off or going away from him. So that covenant is renewed. Now, Christ came to die or to take up that bill. So when he comes back to collect us, there will be nothing, no accidents that are charged to us, because we'll be under that grace. Should you accept it? Now, a lot of people are refusing to hear him. Those are the people that they won't have it. Listen, if whenever he comes, if they haven't did it by then, they're not going to do it. So he just says there's a deadline, there's a cutoff. So then, if while her husband liveth, the Most High living, she is married to another man or another god, she shall be called an adulteress, which is breaking the commandments. Thou shalt have no other god before me. But if her husband, the Most High, be dead, Christ died, she is free from that law. Now, I know a lot of people may be thinking, see, he did away with the law. That's not what that means. So that she is no more an adulteress, though she be married to another man. Mashiach. Okay? So in this way, the Mashiach is standing in for the Most High in this matter. That's the whole point of him being the bridegroom now. See, the Most High is the husband. Where is it? Yeah, the husband here. But to take his place, because he can't actually die, Mashiach stepped in his place to fulfill this part. Okay? She'd be married to another man. She'd be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from that law. So that she is no more an adulteress, though she be married to another man. Okay, let's break that down. Now, the reason, okay, let's look at that law. Okay, now the law that the woman or Israel is free from is not the whole complete commandments, the law, statutes, and commandments. That's not what that means. It means there is a law concerning a woman being married to a man. And if she puts him away and marries another, she commits adultery. So when it says if her husband, but if her husband be dead, she is free from that law. See, that law, not the law. It's that law. Okay, we have to look at that law. Okay, so let's get that law. Let's get where we find that at. Somebody has to die if they violate this. Okay. That's if I can give you a little bit of it. If a man take a wife and go into her and hate her and give occasions of speech against her and bring her up and bring up an evil name upon her and say, I took this woman when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Okay. And by the way, that's maid. A maid is a virgin. Okay. Excuse me. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hated her. And lo, he has given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid. And yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. Okay. I got to pause right here because who he's speaking of, if the Most High brought up accusations against Israel, saying he found her not a maid, the mother and the father bring the tokens of the damsel's virginity here to the city of the gate. Now, this is a sign to the husband if she was or to the parents, because in these tokens you give that to the parents so they hold it just in case this happens. Okay, I'll just keep going. I'll just start back at I'll keep going at 18. And the elders of the city shall take that man and chastise him. And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver and give them to the father of the damsel, because he has brought up an evil name upon the virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife, he may not put her away all the days. Let's see, this is where it got a problem for us, Israel. Okay, because this would happen to you for doing what we did. This is why he had to break that off, because we had to pay this penalty. Verse 20. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of the father's house, and the men of the city shall stone her with stones, that she died, because she brought folly in Israel, to play the whore in her father's house. So shalt thou put away evil from among you. See that? And also, I mean, I could keep going. We went off and started serving idols. So something had to happen, or we would have had to be taken to the gate and stoned, like we was washed up. But see, as Romans chapter 7 and 3 states that if the man die, then she's free from that law, though she marry another man. Okay? So this is why the bridegroom, he's coming back to that makes it official. You know, you got that token of the blood of that virginity. That's the only way that you're going to get a pass, or I hate to call it a pass, but forgiven. Okay? But that does not mean to continue to go and break the whole thing. Okay? The whole thing. People just want to take it and throw it out the window. Everything he said, and he clearly is saying don't do that. But see, a lot of people that wants to be lawless would turn to Romans chapter 7 and 3 and say, well, see, he died for that law. Or the law. They will put the law where he said that law. Okay. So what we have is, we have the Most High had accusations of speech against us, or Israel. The evil name. And he found us not a maid. Okay, we're the woman. Found out not a maid. As I said, a maid is a virgin. A maid is always a maid. A virgin is sometimes a maid. Okay? In other words, you can be a maid and a virgin at the same time. But you can be beyond the age of being a maid, which is a young woman of marriageable age, or you can be an older virgin. Okay? So a virgin is a maid, but a maid is a virgin, but a virgin is not always a maid. Okay? She can be past those years. Okay? Which, by the way, this is why the disciples are referred to as virgins. Okay? That don't mean they're young women. This means they were solely to the Elohim of Israel or the Most High. Makes him a virgin. They don't serve any other gods. Okay? I just wanted to point that out. Okay, now, this accusation that he brought against Israel was true. We did go play the whore in our father's house. Right? When we went off and started serving idols. Okay? So, when our mother and fathers, or our nation, brings forth the tokens of virginity, what's the tokens of virginity? The Messiah. The blood of the Messiah is the token of the virginity. We're bringing before everybody to see. In the gate. Alright? This is why we're clear. Now, before he died, we were 20. Okay? But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found, see, they were not found before Mashiach. We didn't have that token of that virginity. Okay? Therefore, we would have been stoned with stones. Okay? This is just one law that he helped us out on. And doing what he did, the way that he did things. Or he made his plan come about. He thought of everything. Okay? Still, let's get another example. Let's chew on this one right here. Okay? Chew on this one. This is another law. So Deuteronomy chapter 24. Deuteronomy 24. And I'll start at 1. Now, check this out. Okay, because this this is also tied in there. This is a law. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1. And it reads, when a man has taken a wife, in this case the man is the Most High, has taken a wife, Israel, and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because we went off and started serving idols. Okay? Because he has found some uncleanness in her. See? It's justified. Then let him write her a bill of divorcement. This is why he divorced us. All 12 tribes. He started with the northern kingdom, ended with the southern kingdom, wrote them a bill of divorce, and gave it in her hand and sent her out of his house. We got kicked out of the land of Israel. Okay? He did it to Samaria for the northern kingdom, and he did it to Jerusalem in the southern kingdom. But let's go. Let's keep going. In verse 2. And when she is departed, see, out of his house, because the land is the Most High's and not actual Israel. So let me make that clearer. So, when she's going out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. Okay? So, we could do Mashiach right there. But see, the thing is, when Mashiach or the Messiah comes in, excuse me, he's playing the second husband. Okay, let me read that again. I'll start back at 2. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. And if the latter husband, the one that she took after that, hate her and write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send it her out of his house, okay? Or if the latter husband die, see, Mashiach didn't hate us, but he died, which took her to be his wife. This is the law. Her former husband, which sent her away, the former is the one she had before, that which is the Most High, he's the former husband, sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. This is why the Mashiach had to stand in his place. And this is why he had to be just like the Most High. He had to be to him like a T. Was his agenda. This is what he had to fulfill. To be the father for Israel, to be his wife, and him to stand in as the Most High. It's like being remarried to the Most High, but not. Okay, because everything all the judgments, everything, commandments, he brought it all from the Father. He committed his life to the Father. So even if we were married to the Messiah, it'd be just like being married to the Father. That's why he couldn't go off and do new things. Okay? Start again at 4. Her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. After that she is defiled, for that is an abomination before the Most High. And thou shalt not cause the land to sin, which the Most High that power giveth thee for an inheritance. Okay? Now, chew on that one. That's a law. And he figured out a way around that. He couldn't marry us again, but he had a substitute who's just like him, down to a T. So the orders and the speech and the emotions and the judgments and everything comes with being the Most High, he had to be in line with. Because that remarriage, or the new covenant, will be with that. It appears to be a new God, but it's the same one because he gets his orders from the Most High. The Most High uses him to give orders to set the rules and everything. It'll be just like they are still married to the Most High, but not. Okay. This is why he had to do that, doing things just like that, because in the end, he's going to bring them right back to the Father. So I hate to use the word. I would say puppet, but more like a ventriloquist. He's completely controlled by the Father. He speaks what he wants him to speak, goes where he wants him to go, so on and so forth. So, in that being, it's an exact replica of the Father. This is why it's not another God, because he's still doing everything that the Father wanted. Everything. It's like he's the big man and he ain't got to do nothing else because his representative is going to do everything like he wanted to do it. He could just sit back and cool out and enjoy his glory. Now there's an example of it's no more than going out to war and You let your generals and everything fight, and you win the war, and they bring everything back to the high man, the big man. Everything is still his. The kingdom is his. But he didn't actually fight, or he didn't actually go out to battle, but they bring all the riches and all the spoil and everything back to the big man and give it into his hand. It's the exact same thing that Christ did. So in the end, he's just as the Father. Because he's mimicking him completely. Okay? That's another jewel right there. Okay, this is why he had to do it that way. And while Christ switched over to the bridegroom. So the husband, she divorced the husband, true enough. We can't marry him again. But we can marry his representative. And his representative has to be everything that he is. Okay? He figured out a way to do it. To marry us again, but not marry us again. Because when we marry the Messiah, it'd be just like marrying him. Just like it. The next best thing, we got the next best thing. Okay? And that was Deuteronomy 24, and I read 1 through 4. Okay? Mashiach or the Messiah on this matter. Because remember, he has the words of the Most High. Let me bring you to Mark chapter 10. And this is Mashiach or Yeshua, whom the world ignorantly called Jesus, converse with the Pharisees about this matter. Now, they are talking fleshly or carnally, but he's trying to bring them to the spirit. Okay? Flesh is flesh and spirit is spirit. So let's chime in. Okay, I'll just start at verse 2. And the Pharisees came to him and asked him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife? Tempting him. See, testing him. But see, he's on the spiritual plane. He's not talking carnally. But each time they tried to bring him to the fleshly part of it, but he keeps bringing them to the spiritual part. I start again at 2. And the Pharisees came to him and asking him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife? Tempting him. Okay? And he answered and said unto them, what did Moses command you? See, he knew what they was going to answer. He knew. But see, he's speaking on the spiritual plane. Let's continue. Verse 4. And they said, Moses suffered a man to write a bill of divorcement and put her away, which is true, according to the flesh. Okay? Check out how he answers. Verse 5. And Jesus answered and said unto them, for the hardness of your hearts he wrote you this precept. But from the beginning of creation, the Most High, or Elohim, made them male and female. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. See, it's a double meaning. And they twain shall be one flesh. So then, they are no more twain but one flesh. What therefore Elohim has joined together, let not man put asunder. So, you're thinking, hey, he's talking about just a man and a woman. However, keep reading. And in the house his disciples asked him again of the same matter. See, they want to get more insight on what he's talking about. Because he had clearly answered them. But they want, the disciples or the ones closer to him or really following him wants to know, hey, give us a little bit more information on this. Verse 11. And he said unto them, whosoever shall put away his wife and marry another commits adultery against her. Talking about the Most High putting Israel away. He would have been committing adultery. And if a woman, Israel, shall put away her husband and be married to another god, she commits adultery. You see that? See, they keep trying to bring him back to the fleshly. He's talking spiritually. Which are the gods are nothing but idols. They're false gods. But initially, what he said, let not man put asunder, it's not telling. He said he didn't say he couldn't do it. He said y'all couldn't do it. This is why you gotta stay with the Elohim that he put for you, unless he shows you the truth of the true Elohim. Okay? So, whatever God you're joined to, when he gets back, you are going to be married to that God. You're one with them. But he said, let not man put asunder. But he didn't say he could. Alright? So it's a twofold meaning here. And this is the law. Like the Father put the words in Mashiach's or the Messiah's mouth. He's speaking to them on a spiritual plane. Okay? So the wife is followers and the husband is the God. Okay? So there'll be no more twain but one flesh. This is why you need to separate and be to the Elohim only. Okay? This is the actual law. Came from Christ. He expounded on that Deuteronomy 22. He expounded a little bit more on that because remember, this is the Father speaking. Okay? So that's the actual law. Mashiach or the Messiah is telling them this is a law. If you put her away, you commit adultery. And if she put him away, she committed adultery. This is why the Most High didn't put us away, or Israel away. Because he will be doing that. So he had to figure out a way to stay with them, not to cast them off. Okay? So you leave your mother and your father and you cling to your God, or the God that he has allotted for you. But if he shows you the truth, you are to cleave to him. Okay, that's just one account. Alright? There's a few precepts in here for that. But this is one of them. Mark chapter 10. I started at 2. But he ordained it from the beginning. See, from the beginning. Matter of fact, let's go to that beginning. Let's see what he's talking about. Now, we're speaking of Israel, but the other nations have their gods. They got us to go off, but they had their own. Neither did they forsake them. They stayed with them. Let's look at Deuteronomy. Go back to Deuteronomy. And let's go to 4. 4. Deuteronomy. 4. And let's go to... for the point, I'll go to 19. Unless thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun, and the moon, and the stars, even the host of heaven, shouldst be driven to worship them, to serve them, which the Most High thy power has divided into all nations under the heaven. See, he gave that to everybody else. Okay? What did he say? All nations. Well, keep reading. Verse 20. But the Most High has taken you, which is Israel, and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of inheritance, as ye are this day. Furthermore, that's Moses talking about the Most High got mad with them because of them, the way they were acting. So let's jump down to 23. Take heed to yourselves, lest ye forget the covenant of the Most High your power, which has made with you, Shalakia, and make you a graven image, or the likeness of any thing which the Most High thy power has forbidden thee. For the Most High thy power is a consuming fire, even a jealous Elohim. Okay? I just read that 25 because it's so juicy. When thou shalt begat children, and children's children, and ye shall have remained long in the land, and shall have corrupted yourselves, and make a graven image, or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of the Most High thy power, to provoke him to anger, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that you shall utterly perish from off the land, whither you go over to possess it, over Jordan to possess it. So like you shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. That's what else happens to you. I gotta read that 27. And the Most High shall scatter you among the nations, and you shall be left few in number among the heathen, where the Most High shall lead you. See? So, that's letting you know that Israel's Elohim, or Israel's husband, is him. The other nations have the sun, the moon, and the stars. It was intentionally done that way so the Most High, so the planet and the other nations, when they want to seek the true Elohim or the true God, they will come to Israel and get it. Okay? That Christ had to die to break it off. Henceforth, a new covenant. Henceforth, he's coming back to claim his bride and his kingdom. Okay? So,
that can result in some very, what do I want to say, unscriptural behavior, or also just some very depressing behavior. You see, if I'm just the bridesmaid, I might be promiscuous, right? I'm not married. That's our culture now. But when I know I'm a bride, I'm betrothed to Jesus, nothing compels me more to be faithful, to be committed, to enjoy the union that we have. That's why this message is for everybody. Every woman, actually every man, every woman is the bride of Christ. We're not a bridesmaid. We are the bride now.
yeah, more. More. All right. You know, the Christian church of today, they follow Paul a lot. Matter of fact, their whole building is upon Paul. All right. Let's get an example from Paul. Let's go to Romans chapter 9. I'll start at 1. Okay. That divorce, and as I said, the grafting back in. All right. But grafted back in is just the adoption back into the, back together. Okay. Of Israel. Not everybody on the planet. Not every man and woman. All right. This is Romans chapter 9, verse 1. I say the truth in Christ, I lie not. My conscience also bearing me witness in the Holy Spirit. It has ghost there, but it's the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh. That I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh. See, this is letting you know that he's saying this about Israel. Not every man and woman. Verse 4. Who are Israelites? What about them Israelites? To whom pertaineth the adoption, see, and the glory, and the covenants, the one before, and the remarriage, and the giving of the law. We the only one got that law. Mount Sinai, sprinkled the blood, made a pact with the Most High, the covenant, and the service of the Most High, or the service of Elohim. There's Elohim there. The service is the priest. And the promises. That's that bride. Okay? It's coming back for Israel, baby. Look, 5. Who are the fathers of whom, as concerning the flesh, Christ came, who is over all. Elohim blessed forever. Amen. That's the ending. And they give you Deuteronomy 10:15 as a precept on that. So, yeah, it's all Israel's the bride, okay?
The book of life. In the beginning, when man arrived on earth, the black gods did leave their spacecraft, and they walked, and they named the beasts of the sea and the animals of the land. And man in his blackness did walk the earth, making medicine. They discovered time. These were all black people got down. Wait a minute. There ain't nothing in here about whitey. This is ours, Jack. Wait till the brothers hear this. I'm gonna get this book out of here, baby. This tells the real tea. Check this out.
Self-control yourself, don't you see?
What you mean, Jack? Look at this here. Black people started the music and the brain surgery back in the year 3 BC.
Yes, of course, Brunel.
Man, they was getting down. Listen.
The idea that you have to be keeping the commandments, to even be considered a stranger, or to cleave to Israel. See, that's another teaching. See, I'm already going to another place. So let's keep it moving. Let's go to 25:5 right here. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. That's another that's another jewel right there. See? That slumbered and slept is going about your day to day, living life, occupying until he come. They all slept. Okay? Basically just waiting on him. Let's get some more. Let's go to 25:06 right after it. I could have kept going. And at midnight there was a cry made, behold, the bridegroom cometh. Go ye out to meet him. Then all the virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, give us of your oil, for our lamps are going out. See, that's... I got to stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to John 3:29. John 3:29. He that has the bride is the bridegroom. Now this is John the Baptist talking to his disciples when they say, hey man, Jesus is growing. Who in the world ignorantly calls Jesus, he's growing. Okay. Verse 29. And he that has the bride is the bridegroom. But the friend of the bridegroom, which shall stand and hear him, John the Baptist talking about himself, rejoices greatly, which standeth by, hears him, rejoices greatly because of the bridegroom's voice. This is my joy, therefore is fulfilled. See, he's talking about him. Okay? Make sure I read that again. Start it again, so like it. This is John chapter 3, verse 29. He that has the bride is the bridegroom. But the friend of the bridegroom, which standeth and heareth him, rejoices greatly because of the bridegroom's voice. This is my joy, therefore is fulfilled. The new covenant, the kingdom of heaven, everything is in that. Okay? And he actually has a representative that he chose to be him. Now, this is why Christ or the Mashiach had to do everything to a T. Be like him all the way. This is why he couldn't come and do away with the law. See, this is all, it's pushing me that way. I'm trying to stay on point. But he had to be the mirror image of the Father. He couldn't go against anything that the Father has said or would do. The Father put the words in his mouth. See, okay, all right. So is that it on that? I mean, there's so much more. John 8:57-58, John 14:8 and 9. There's just so many precepts, but I'm trying not to make it too long. So, here. I might read that down. This is John 8. Let's go to 50. Let's go to 57. Then said the Jews unto him, Thou art not yet 50 years old, and hast thou seen Abraham? And Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. See that? See, really, this is why Mashiach could only give up the flesh part. Spirit is spirit. Flesh is flesh. But see, to let them know it's the Father speaking to them, the Father had him say that. You know, they took offense. They didn't realize who was speaking to them. Their own husband or their own father was speaking to them, yet they couldn't see it. Then took they up stones to cast at him. But Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, so passed by. Okay? Matter of fact, it's another precept on that. And I believe it's here. Hold on, select. Let's go to 14:8 and 9. Yeah, 14. This is John chapter 14, 8 and 9. So Philip said unto him, talking about Christ, see, that's red letter. It's Christ speaking. Okay, but this Philip, verse 8. Philip said unto him, Lord, show us the Father, and it sufficeth us. Jesus said unto him, Have I been with you so long time with you, Shalakia, Have I been so long time with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip? He that has seen me has seen the Father. And how sayest thou then, show us the Father? Believest thou not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very works' sake. Okay? See, on my own authority. All right? I mean, and it's more. 842. 842. I mean, this is why, see, I don't subscribe to the Trinity doctrine. It's just way too many precepts for that to make sense. However, the Father took complete hold of Mashiach. This is why he ate, slept, and breathed the Father to the point where he started to come out of him. It was ordained that way. That's why the Most High is the Father of spirits. People don't realize yet. Let's see. I don't want to. Okay. Let's see. Did I read 842? 842, 1428. Did I read 42? Oh, no, I didn't. This is John chapter 8. Start at 42. Then Jesus said unto them, if God were your Father, you would love me, for I proceeded forth and came from Elohim. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do ye not understand my speech? Even because ye cannot hear my words. See, I want to say I keep reading. I mean, it'll take me going. But the point is, this is why he couldn't change. He couldn't come and do away with the law. See, he couldn't do away with the breaking the commandments. He wasn't condoning that. Being lawless, he wasn't condoning that. So he's telling you the will of his Father. But you think he's telling you something brand new when everything he spoke, to find it all back here in the law and the prophets. He had to be all of that, the law and the prophets. He couldn't go against that. He wouldn't go against that. He's the husband in this case. So he had to do everything to a T. Okay? The very fact that he can do that, I'll get one more, is that the Most High said that anybody that didn't listen to him, they won't be forgiven. This is Deuteronomy chapter 18. And I'll start at 18. Well, actually, I'll tell you what he's gonna do. He's gonna break down who to listen to. This is the Creator. I'll read 15 and then I'll jump. The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken. See? Now, according to all that I have to read this part because this happened earlier to Israel. And that's also all the brothers and sisters in the four corners, Israel, not just in America. I just wanted to add that. According to all that thou desires of the Most High in Horeb, that Horeb is Mount Sinai, in the day of the assembly, saying, let us not hear again the voice of the Most High, my power. I gotta pull that to the side. Neither let us, come on. Like I'm going to read that again. I'm going to start at 16. According to all that thou hast desired of the Most High thy power in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of the Most High my power, neither let me see this great fire any more, that I die not. And the Most High said unto me, they have spoken well. I'm sorry, Shalaki. They have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise up to them a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee. Who is thee? Moses. And I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command them. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. And you don't want the Most High to require anything from you, really, because he could take it all from you. Everything is his already, but he definitely makes it a reality. But see, this is this is all being part of that husband, and why Israel, even though the Most High didn't like what he saw in Israel, he said, you're making me abhor you by the way you're acting, and you going off and playing the harlot. This being your Easters and your Christmases, okay, for you African Americans, and the brothers and sisters in the four corner Israelites. You going off and start doing those things. He didn't cast you off. See, there's precepts back. I can go to these precepts, but initially, he didn't cast you off. He just figured out a way to still deliver Israel, despite us going off. He loved us so much that he wouldn't cast us away. But these things had to come to pass for him to do that and still give us the actual rulership of the planet, by the way. That's another teaching. All right, so he's the king of the earth. He coming back to sit on his throne to get what's his. And that's Israel and those clinging to him, keeping the law. Now that's another, I'm going to have to cover that too, because that's a very important key fact. Okay, but let's keep moving. I'm trying to keep moving. Okay, that's Romans. Let's go to Revelations 18 and 23. 18, 18. Are we in Revelations 18? 23. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride shall be no more heard at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all thy nations deceived. Okay? Go to 21 and 2. 21 and 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from the Most High out of heaven, prepared as a bride. See that same bride in Genesis? Adorned for her husband. Who was her husband? The Mashiach, the king. Which really is all the Most High. So it's the bride is the Most High, the Mashiach is the Most High, but we are married to through him. We're married to the Most High, and he made that possible. He's a high priest also. He's the big bro. Big bro. Alright. Now, that old covenant or that new covenant all stems from the actual ceremony. Mashiach assumed the position of the Most High in this matter, just for the sake of being a symbol of him actually dying, because he can't actually do that. So he had to show you, it had to be a symbol of him giving that up or departing. And he can do that through the Mashiach, so that he can sit on the throne of Israel and actually the whole planet. But excuse me. Okay, now that's the divorce, so hence he's coming back for them. But Levi is the reason for all of this takes place. Now, with Reuben and Simeon, we was already getting the affliction. But when we got married, it made it's another part to solidify the kingdom, to establish it. We're going to have the kingdom through all aspects. He covered all ground in righteousness to be able to rule this planet with the iron fist.
On the day which Jesus returns, there will be a polar reversal. Isaiah 24:20 says, "The earth will crack and shatter and split open. The earth itself will stagger like a drunk, sway like a hut in a storm. The world is weighed down by its sins. It will collapse and never rise again." Revelation 6:12 says, "There was a violent earthquake, and the sun became black like coarse black cloth. And the moon turned completely red like blood. The stars fell down to the earth, like unripe figs falling from the tree, when a strong wind shakes it. The sky disappeared like a scroll, being rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved from its place. The polar flip will make the stars race across the sky. And the vacuum created from the reeling of the earth will pull the atmosphere along the ground, trying to catch up, creating what is known as a roll cloud, which will pull with it the dust and ash created from the global earthquake." Psalm 97:5 says, "The mountains melted like wax at the presence of the Lord." The global earthquake will be so bad that every hill and mountain will crumble. Revelation 16:20 says, "And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found." Revelation 6:15 says, "The kings of the earth, the princes, the commanding officers, the rich, the strong, and every slave and free person, hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountains. They told the mountains and the rocks, 'Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day of his wrath has come. And who is able to stand?' The global earthquake will seem unending, and no one will be able to stand on that day, as the sky vanishes under a roll cloud and the stars fall from heaven. The buildings in every city in the world will collapse into utter destruction, killing millions. Isaiah 30:25 calls it the day of the great slaughter, when the towers fall. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Revelation 16:21 says, hailstones, weighing about 100 pounds each, fell from the sky on people. After the volcanic ash and dust from the global earthquake has been kicked up into the sky, it will combine with a supercooled atmosphere from the vacuum created by the Earth's reeling. This will result in hailstones, which weigh about 100 pounds each. Matthew 24:30. Then, and all the peoples of earth will weep, as they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven, with power and great glory. The great trumpet will sound, and he will send out his angels to the four corners of the earth, and they will gather his chosen people from one end of the world to the other. Revelation 1:7 says, look, he is coming on the clouds. Everyone will see him, including those who pierced him. All peoples on earth will mourn over him. The Bible says everyone on earth will see him. Because at that time, the earth will be reeling from the polar reversal, allowing every place on earth to see the coming of Jesus Christ. 1 Thessalonians 4:16 says, there will be the shout of command, the archangel's voice, the sound of God's trumpet, and the Lord himself will come down from heaven. Those who have died believing in Christ will rise to life first. Then we, who are living at that time, will be gathered up along with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And so we will always be with the Lord. This is what is known as the rapture. It will occur when the global earthquake begins. And the Christians will be saved from this terrible wrath of God poured out upon mankind. All those believers who have turned to Christ during the tribulation and are still alive will be gathered together with the resurrected Christians, and will be collected by God's angels from the four corners of the earth and brought together to meet the Lord in the air. 1 Corinthians 15:51 says that when the resurrection happens, Jesus will transform his people, mortals into immortals. And God's army of angels will gather his Christians, bringing them to Jerusalem, where they will appear from heaven with the Lord, to defend Israel. Revelation 19:11 says, and I saw heaven opened, and behold a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he does judge and make war. Zechariah 14:4 says, he will take his stand on the Mount of Olives east of Jerusalem, and the mountain will split in half, forming a wide valley that runs from east to west. From here, Jesus will go out to wage war against the Antichrist and his army, and the many Arab nations coming against Jerusalem and Israel. Joel 3:16 The Lord roars from Mount Zion. His voice thunders from Jerusalem. Earth and sky tremble. But he will defend his people. Revelation 19:14, and the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. Joel 2:4, they look like horses. They run like war horses. As they leap on the tops of the mountains, they rattle like chariots. They crackle like dry grass on fire. They are lined up like a great army, ready for battle. As they approach, everyone is terrified. Every face turns pale. They attack like warriors. They climb the walls like soldiers. They all keep marching straight ahead and do not change direction or get in each other's way. They swarm through defenses, and nothing can stop them. They rush against the city. They run over the walls. They climb up the houses and go in through the windows like thieves. The earth shakes as they advance. The sky trembles. The sun and the moon grow dark, and the stars no longer shine. The Lord thunders commands to his army. The troops that obey him are many and mighty. How terrible is the day of the Lord! Who will survive it? Revelation 9.
Okay. So, let's go back to Genesis. I think I've covered a bit on the husband and wife. Okay. So, and the joined. See that? And that joined.
Comes as king, and all the angels with him. He will sit on his royal throne, and the people of all the nations will be gathered before him. Then he will divide them into two groups, just as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the righteous people at his right, and the others at his left. Then the king will say to the people on his right, "Come, you that are blessed by my Father. Come and possess the kingdom which has been prepared for you ever since the creation of the world. I was hungry and you fed me, thirsty and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger and you received me in your homes. Naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you took care of me, in prison and you visited me." The righteous will then answer him, "When, Lord, did we ever see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and gave you a drink? When did we ever see you a stranger and welcome you in our homes, or naked and clothe you? When did we ever see you sick or in prison, and visit you?" The king will reply, "I tell you, whenever you did this, for one of the least important of these followers of mine, you did it for me." Then he will say to those on his left, "Away from me, you that are under God's curse. Away to the eternal fire which has been prepared for the devil and his angels. I was hungry but you would not feed me, thirsty but you would not give me a drink. I was a stranger, but you would not welcome me in your homes. Naked but you would not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, but you would not take care of me." Then they will answer him, "When, Lord, did we ever see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison, and we would not help you?" The king will reply, "I tell you, whenever you refuse to help one of these least important ones, you refuse to help me." These, then, will be sent off to eternal punishment, but the righteous will go to eternal life. As you can see from these sayings of Jesus, those non-Christian people left alive will be judged by Jesus by whether or not they helped the Christians in the hour of their great distress. The poor, the needy, the sick, and those Christians being persecuted and imprisoned by the nations because of their belief in Jesus. Those who take care of the Christians will be welcomed into Jesus Christ's kingdom, but those who refuse to help them, or take care of them, will be cast in the lake of fire. Along with those who took the Middle East king's mark of the beast, and worshipped him and his image. And how terrible this judgment will be. For Revelation 14:11 says, "If you worship the beast and the idol, and accept the mark of its name, you will be tortured day and night. The smoke from your torture will go up forever and ever, and you will never be able to rest." Now you have been told exactly how the second coming of Jesus Christ will occur. So let no one fool you into believing that Christ, or the Messiah, has come, even though they perform signs and wonders. For Jesus said, "Many will be led astray by the satanic miracles of the Antichrist and false prophet, who will make their appearance in Jerusalem." Jesus said in Mark 13:6, "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many." Matthew 24:24 says, "For there shall arise false Christs, and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders. Insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect." 2 Thessalonians 2:3 says, "Do not let anyone deceive you in any way. For the day will not come, until the final rebellion takes place, and the wicked one appears, who is destined to hell. He will oppose every so-called God or object of worship, and will put himself above them all. He will even go in and sit down in God's temple and claim to be God. Those in Jerusalem, the Middle East and the world will be deceived by this man, who will sit in God's temple in Jerusalem and claim to be God. And the false prophet, whom biblical scholars believe will impersonate Jesus Christ himself, will try and deceive all by his satanic miracles, telling the world that the Bible is a lie, and all must submit to Islam and the Mahdi. And there will be a great apostasy, and many who thought they were Christians will believe this false prophet. So let no one deceive you, claiming to be Christ or God. For Jesus will only return on the day the earth's poles reverse, and a global earthquake.
In a nutshell, that's what I'm trying to help you understand. When she's naming the sons, you think that, okay, if his name is this Reuben, his name is this Simeon, his name is just Levi. But there are certain prophecies in there that'll happen to her people as a nation, her offspring. Right on back to Genesis 29. So Leah, our great-grandmother, is having children by our great-grandfather. But how is she seeing all of this? Insight. She was definitely moved with the Ruach. Sorry, y'all. I just had to think for a minute because these are it's happening to a T. And what should we go with Judah here? Judah is where we get our kingdom shines. Or really it's the Most High's kingdom. Not, I don't want to get confused, but they're going to be just in a so-called African Americans low state. He still can dominate in all sports and entertainment, right? Just think when the Most High's kingdom is given back into our hands and we do it in righteousness. There'll be no type of music like we make. There'll be no type of parties like we throw. And righteousness. Will really be something to see. All praises to the Most High. In the name of His Son. Wow. So, I spent a lot of time on Levi. I could, yeah. There's just so much information on Levi that I can't even include Judah into it, because Judah can take up a whole video of itself. So can Levi. Really, each one of these could have taken a whole video within themselves. Probably exhaustive video. So I may just end it here on Levi. And there is more information. I just don't want to say that it's the end, but just for time's sake to move on. We'll do Judah in the next video. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to say all praises to the Most High in the name of His only begotten Son. And it's not Jesus. It's not. You study, you find out that's not His name. For you African Americans who's not aware of that yet. But that's a whole nother, just You'll be amazed at even saying the slightest words can take you down a whole road to proving that. Okay? But for time's sake, we'll end it here. And I should say, Kwam Yasharala, or that is Rise Israel. Come back to your nationality, so-called African American, and then Negroes spread it throughout the four corners of the world. The Israelites, come back to your power, because the kingdom is, all this is for you. It's set up for you to get rulership of the planet. And this is why you need to know this stuff. It's promised to you. But there are those that's trying to cheat you out of it. So, I'll end Levi here. And with that said, shalom.
I stay out the deep, in my camp I see a promise. You niggas still love repent, you got a real problem. Live ballin' in captivity, now I'd rather reveal the ballin'. Nation just so hated, I'm just saying y'all hear all these people. I'm talking about the 12 tribes. We ain't equal to these heathen by hell high. You got faith, I got scriptures, I don't sell why. The Israelites tell truth, we don't tell lies. Repent. You a prince of the power, in the length of the hour. You see the strength of the power. First Peter's 2:5. Be a brick in his tower. Big fish that devour. Take and get what is ours. Repent. You a prince of the power, in the length of the hour. You see the strength of the power. First Peter's 2:5. Be a brick in his tower. Big fish that devour. Take and get what is ours. I'm a prince of the power. Big brick in his tower. Two-edged sword from the Lord. Ready to get what is ours. In the length of the hour, Jesus Christ don't strike the earth. Strike the curse upon his shows as we receive his light with mirth and life from birth from him who rose. For you Israelites who thirst, being filled with righteousness. As we bring to sight that verse of seeing the Israelite is birth. Cherry circling round and round from town to town, the trumpet sound. As we get them power back down the ground, the nations fall, the Israelites be taking out. Now it's time to drink the cup, the Israelites is slaving out. Yeah, the nations making walls. Yes, we won't go Golden Street, perfect to uphold them. We thank y'all, we are the chosen seed. You a prince of the power, born to live in royalty. I'm a prince of the power, born and sealed with loyalty. Prophesying orally, Daniel 7:18. Our kingdom come, that will be done, our Christ is gonna be made king. Repent. You a prince of the power, in the length of the hour. You see the strength of the power. First Peter's 2:5. Be a brick in his tower. Big fish that devour. Take and get what is ours. Repent.